Hannah stood near the entrance of a crowded cafe, her heart racing. People filled the room, chatting and laughing over steaming cups of coffee. It was a Saturday morning, and the cafe was buzzing with energy. Hannah glanced around, feeling lost among the many faces. She had come here to meet new people, but now she felt alone. Each table had groups of friends, deep in conversation. The lively atmosphere made it hard for Hannah to join in. She clutched her bag tighter, searching for the courage to take a step forward. Every smile and laugh from others felt like a reminder of her isolation. Hannah thought, why does making friends have to be so hard? This thought echoed in her mind as she felt the warmth of the cafe but also its distance. Social pressure filled her thoughts. What if she said something silly? What if they did not want to talk to her? The fear of rejection loomed large in her mind. A bead of sweat formed on her brow as she watched two strangers easily strike up a conversation. They leaned closer, their laughter ringing through the air. Hannah wished she could feel that comfort and joy. Instead, anxiety bubbled inside her, and her stomach sank. Feeling awkward often left Hannah in silence. She had attended similar events in the past, but it never got easier. Just last month, at a birthday party, she had felt almost invisible. People danced and joked while she stood at the edge, sipping on her drink. The fear of failure had kept her from joining. Hannah remembered the pity she saw in a friend's eyes, and it stung. Moments like these confirmed her belief that something was wrong with her. These feelings of isolation are common for many people, and Hannah was not alone. Everyone has experienced those moments in life where connecting with others seems impossible. Whether at a work event, a casual wedding, or a gathering of friends, many face the challenge of finding their voice in crowded rooms. It is easy to feel pressured to perform or connect, even when all we want is acceptance. Many fail to realize that these feelings are shared. No one is perfect in social situations, and everyone has a story of their struggles to find companionship. As Hannah stood there, reflecting on her past encounters, she understood this journey well. No matter the setting, be it at a coffee shop or big party, periods of silence often marked her attempts at building relationships. Over time, she began to feel that maybe others, too, shared her doubts. This chapter of her life highlighted a critical need for growth, a way to break free from self-imposed barriers. Hannah realized that her struggle was not just hers alone. She could learn to improve her social skills and better her relationships. Even in moments of discouragement, hope lurked in the corners. By recognizing her urge to connect, she could find a way to step closer to the friendships that felt just out of reach. With that little spark of determination, she took a deep breath and moved away from the entrance, ready to try again. As Hannah took a deep breath and stepped into the cafe, she felt a mix of hope and fear. She cupped her hands around a warm coffee cup, trying to steady herself. The smell of fresh coffee was comforting, but the noise felt overwhelming. Hannah's heart raced as she scanned the room. She wanted to find a friendly face, someone to talk to, but all she saw were groups laughing and enjoying each other's company. This was her usual struggle. On her first day at university, Hannah had felt the same anxiety. She had hoped for connections, but instead, she only faced silence and self-doubt. Chatting with classmates felt like climbing a mountain, each word a heavy stone weighing her down. At that moment, she remembered the lunch during her first week. Hannah had sat alone at her table, quietly watching others make friends. Each laugh she heard reminded her of how distant she felt. She wished to be part of those happy groups rather than a spectator of their joy. Every time she tried to speak with classmates, her voice seemed to vanish. She would start with a friendly hello, but her words often got stuck before she could finish. How do people do it so easily? Hannah wondered. The back-to-back cheerful conversations felt like a different world, a world where she could not fit in. Each failed attempt to join in only made her frustration grow. She hated feeling so alone in a room full of people. As she stood in line, Hannah watched her classmates share stories, intriguing tales, and laughter echoing through the air. Feeling a pang of jealousy, she asked herself, "What is wrong with me?" It hurt to think these thoughts, but they were hard to shake off. Hannah wished for confidence. If only she could laugh freely like those around her, she thought. After briefly glancing at her phone, Hannah sighed. She often scrolled through social media posts of friends having fun. It made her feel sad and undeserving. Each post displayed smiles and friendships, while she struggled day to day. But rather than letting defeat take over, Hannah decided it was time to change. She did not want to miss out any longer. It was in moments like these that Hannah could see her fight. She realized that every person has their problems. Maybe their journeys also include moments of doubt. Hannah decided she could learn to overcome these challenges. Like other students in the cafe, each person she admired had walked their path to feeling secure and connected. This thought ignited a spark of hope in Hannah, and she felt a bit more powerful inside. Fighting the self-doubt was hard, but that Saturday morning felt different. There were still moments to connect, learn, and grow. Armed with a new focus on her goals, she determinedly approached a small table occupied by two students chatting. A soft smile crossed her face, and she took a step forward. Maybe I can find my voice today, she thought. The journey of understanding her social struggles was just beginning, and Hannah was ready to face it. Hannah took a cautious step toward the small table. Her heart raced, and every muscle in her body tensed. As she approached, she heard the two students talking about a popular TV show. It sounded fun, but Hannah suddenly felt lost. What if she jumped in and sounded silly? She weighed her options in her mind. With a deep breath, she thought about saying something. She remembered a lesson from a friend. Just be yourself. Gathering her courage, she opened her mouth. But her voice was a whisper, barely audible over the cafe buzz. The two students paused and glanced at her, their smiles fading. Suddenly, Hannah felt smaller. She quickly turned away, closing her eyes for a moment to hide the embarrassment that washed over her. That sting of rejection was familiar. Hannah recalled another time when she had tried to make friends in high school. At an event, she put herself out there, but the girl she approached had been preoccupied with her own friends. Hannah felt invisible, as if she had not spoken at all. Moments like these echoed in her mind. Bitterness tugged at her, and her usual spark of hope dimmed a little more. Still, she did not want to be defeated. Hannah picked up her phone, hoping to distract herself. She scrolled through cheerful pictures, seeing friends embracing moments she longed to feel. I wish I could smile like them, she thought, but each image filled her with sadness. Instead of joy, it magnified her sense of isolation, and she felt her self-esteem drop lower. Deciding she wouldn't stay hidden in her thoughts, Hannah pushed the phone into her bag and looked around again. She noticed at another table some students discussing their weekend plans. They laughed together, sharing stories that made the whole table lighten up. But each pulse of laughter reminded her of her own struggle with not knowing how to join them. After several minutes, Hannah finally gathered her courage to try again. She spotted a girl sitting alone. Her hair fell softly around her face, and she looked focused on her laptop. Hannah thought maybe she could just introduce herself. Very quiet, just like me, she thought. But as she stood and took a step toward the girl, certain fears reared their heads again. What if she doesn't want to talk? What if she finds me annoying? Just then, someone across the cafe dropped a cup, creating a loud crash. Hannah jumped, spilling a little of her own drink. Her face burned with embarrassment again, feeling all eyes on her. Without thinking, she turned back to her table, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. Hannah's heart sank. The pressure built inside her, and all she could think was that this cafe visit would be another failure. The sinking feeling of loneliness pushed harder against her chest. Yet, deep inside, she knew a change was possible. Each struggle was a piece of her larger story. With every obstacle, there was something to learn. There had to be a way to break this cycle, and Hannah was determined to find it. As the cafe buzzed on, she took one more deep breath and thought, there has to be hope after this. This thought shone like a flicker of light, urging her forward even through her doubts. Hannah pressed her lips into a tight line, ready to confront her fears once more. She felt the swell of potential. Maybe today was not the end but the beginning of a new chapter. One where she could undo the patterns holding her back and find a way to truly connect with the people around her. As Hannah sat at her table, Feeling the heaviness of doubt, a familiar face appeared beside her. It was Mr. Blake, her old high school teacher. He had always encouraged students to be confident and true to themselves. Seeing him made Hannah feel a flicker of warmth in her chest. She hadn't seen him in a while, and his smile was comforting. "Hello, Hannah. It's great to see you here," he said, his eyes filled with kindness. Hannah managed a weak smile in return, still feeling the weight of her recent attempts to connect. "What have you been up to?" he continued, unaware of the storm swirling inside her. "I'm just trying to make friends," she replied quietly, hesitant to share her struggles. Mr. Blake noticed her discomfort and leaned closer, showing he was truly interested. "It's not always easy, is it?" he said, understanding shining in his eyes. Hannah sighed. "No, I always feel left out. I wish I could talk to people like you do." She admitted her struggle, feeling a small sense of relief. Mr. Blake listened patiently, and after a moment he nodded slowly. "Hannah, you have to remember one thing. Change starts from within." His words struck her like a gentle spark, igniting a small change in her heart. "What do you mean?" Hannah asked, her curiosity piqued. "You're a great person, but you hold yourself back," he explained. "You hesitate too much, and that makes connecting harder. Believe in yourself." In that moment, Hannah felt tears prick her eyes. She had longed for encouragement and finally received it. Mr. Blake's wisdom cut through the doubt. "You must let your voice be heard. You have something to say, and people want to hear it," he continued. "Put yourself out there, even when it's scary." "But what if I say the wrong thing?" Hannah questioned, her fear creeping back. He smiled softly. "Mistakes are okay. We all make them. The important thing is to keep trying." His words hung in the air like a promise. Hannah took a deep breath and let the words sink in. Hope began to seep into the cracks of her uncertainty. After their talk, Mr. Blake waved goodbye and left her with a newfound sense of purpose. Hannah looked around the cafe, catching sight of the conversations swirling about her. It was all so vibrant. She realized in this sea of chatter, there was no need to swim alone. She could join and create her own wave of connections. Doubt still whispered in her ear, but this time Hannah fought back. "I can do it. I will do it," she thought, feeling a slow wave of confidence rise within her. It was clear now. She needed to take action. The comfort of her solitude was no longer what she desired. She wanted to connect, to build friendships, and experience joy with others. Hannah focused on the moment. She spotted a group laughing and thought about how she had backed away before. She took another breath and stood up, feeling a surge of determination. "What if I tried?" she asked herself. The turning point had arrived. Now was her chance to take control and show her willingness to engage with what once felt intimidating. With that deep resolve, Hannah walked toward the group. Her heart raced in her chest. It was no longer just about fear. It was about possibility. She thought about all Mr. Blake had said. Hannah's previous struggles would no longer define her journey. Now, she would step boldly into the world of connections and friendships, not merely hoping, but ready to seek out what she truly desired. Hannah took a deep breath as she approached the group. Her heart pounded, and she could feel a mix of excitement and fear. This was the moment she had been preparing for after speaking with Mr. Blake. She noticed 3 students sitting together, animatedly chatting. One of them was holding a book she recognized. It was a popular novel every book lover seemed to be reading. Excuse me," Hannah said, her voice wavering slightly. The students looked up, their faces curious and welcoming. She smiled, feeling the warmth of the moment. "I see you're reading The Great Escape. I've heard a lot about it." The words flowed out of her, and it felt good to initiate a conversation. "Oh yes, it's so good," responded one of the girls. Her name was Mia. "I couldn't put it down. Have you read it?" Hannah hadn't read the book yet, but she shook her head, trying to focus on the connection rather than the content. "Not yet, but I want to. What do you like about it?" she asked, feeling a little more confident. Mia's eyes lit up. "I love how it has twists and turns. You never know what happens next. You should definitely read it." Encouraged by Mia's enthusiasm, Hannah nodded. She kept eye contact, remembering Mr. Blake's advice on showing interest while speaking. She asked more questions, everything feeling easier now. The tension in her chest gradually began to dissolve. The other two at the table, Jordan and Sam, joined in on the conversation too. They laughed easily, sharing their thoughts on other books and their favorite authors. Hannah felt like she was part of the group, not an outsider. After discussing books, Hannah decided to switch topics. "What are you all doing this Saturday?" she asked, genuinely curious. This was her chance to keep the conversation going and practice her new social skills. Mia quickly responded, "We are going to a little music festival downtown. Are you interested in music?" Instead of feeling shy again, Hannah channeled her excitement. "I love music. I might join," she replied with a smile. The conversation continued, shifting from books to music to plans for the weekend. Hannah practiced active listening by nodding and responding to each comment. She felt energized and involved, much like how she had observed her classmates before. With every moment, her belief grew stronger. Each laugh, each shared opinion built a new bridge between her and them. Hannah even shared a funny story from her own life, giggling along as they seemed to truly enjoy it, too. The fears in her mind began to fade. She was making connections. This feeling was refreshing and lifted her spirits. Soon, the conversation shifted as more students entered, spilling into their table. Hannah could feel a small twinge of anxiety but reminded herself to stay open. She took a deep breath and thought, "I can do this." As the new arrivals joined the discussion, Hannah remembered to maintain eye contact and smile. She even pushed herself to introduce herself and encourage others to share their thoughts. The little movements of practice made her change, widening the gap between her quiet past and her vibrant present. Undeniably, this moment was a turning point for Hannah. Each step forward reminded her that progress grew from intentions, even one small talk at a time. With a joyful heart and newfound openness, she embraced the beautiful chaos of connections emerging around her. The fear that once weighed her down had transformed into a spark of hope and excitement ready for the adventures that lay ahead. Hannah had taken her first steps on this journey, reshaping her world with simple acts of courage. Hannah walked out of the cafe, her heart still racing from the conversation. She felt a spark of joy that she had not felt in a long time. The talk with the three students had opened a door for her. She realized that she could truly connect with others. The small victories she achieved today were just the beginning. Each moment brought her closer to where she wanted to be. As the days passed, Hannah continued to practice her new social skills. At work, she made an effort to greet her colleagues every morning. "Good morning," she said with a warm smile, even when she felt nervous. To her surprise, she started to get positive responses. People looked up from their tasks and smiled back, responding warmly to her friendly words. One afternoon, Hannah joined a small meeting at work where everyone shared their ideas. In the past, she had stayed silent, afraid her thoughts were not good enough. But today felt different. Filled with newfound courage, she raised her hand and shared her opinion on a project idea. "I think we could try this approach," she suggested, her voice steady and clear. The team listened and nodded, some building on her idea. Hannah felt her heart swell with pride. She reflected on this moment later that evening. Each time she practiced her speaking, her confidence grew stronger. It was as if she was learning to be her true self, and it felt good. Hannah had also joined a local book club. It had become a regular thing, and she felt more at home there. Each time she walked into the meeting, her friends greeted her with excitement. They discussed chapters, often going off on delightful tangents. Hannah was surprised at how easy it was to join in and share her thoughts. Rather than thinking too much, she allowed her feelings and opinions to flow freely. This practice of engagement made every moment brighter. One evening, sitting in her favorite spot in the cafe again, Hannah reflected on how much she had changed. The girl who once felt invisible in social situations now found joy in connections. She noticed that conversations felt more easeful and authentic, both in her personal life and at work. Her friendships were growing, and her colleagues were becoming allies. The uncomfortable feelings that once flooded her were starting to fade. There was a sense of warmth when she entered a space, whether it was the cafe or the office. Hannah no longer feared stepping into those moments. Instead, she felt excitement for what could unfold in every encounter. Thinking back to Mr. Blake's encouragement, Hannah realized the most profound change came from her own choices. Every small talk and shared laugh became a drop in the bucket of understanding and connection. Her journey was full of mistakes, but each one only brought her closer to improvement. Feeling proud of her progress, Hannah could see how powerfully her mindset had shifted. She encouraged herself to keep practicing, reminding herself that each action, no matter how little, built her new path. This neat growth proved to her that she was in charge of her destiny and connections. Every step she took mattered, and she was excited to see where this journey would lead next. The light of hope was bright, and Hannah felt empowered on her journey of discovering the beauty of social connections, ready to embrace whatever came next, with confidence in her heart. As Hannah continued her journey of self-improvement, she began to notice more in her workplace. A few weeks after joining in meetings and building connections, she saw behaviors that disturbed her. Her boss, Mr. Collins, often made snide remarks, belittling some of her coworkers in meetings. Hannah felt uncomfortable watching others be treated poorly. It was hard to see those who felt helpless under his attitude. One day, after Mr. Collins scolded her colleague, Lucy, for asking a question, Hannah felt a wave of anger rise in her. She remembered her newfound beliefs in kindness and the importance of standing up for what is right. Instead of just being passive, she realized it was time to act. This was her chance to speak up and protect her peers. With determination in her heart, Hannah decided to talk to Mr. Collins the next day. She wanted to explain that his words hurt people. As she prepared her message in her mind, she felt fear creep back in. What if he dismissed her? What if he became angry? But she pushed through, reminding herself that change starts with small steps. The following morning, with shaking hands and a firm resolve, Hannah approached Mr. Collins in the break room. Surrounding them were the busy sounds of their colleagues discussing work and planning the day. "Mr. Collins, can I speak with you for a moment?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. He nodded, a bit surprised, and followed her to a quieter area of the office. "What's on your mind?" he asked with a casual tone, but Hannah could see there was curiosity behind his eyes. Taking a deep breath, she spoke clearly. "I feel that some of the comments you make in meetings are hurtful to others. I think we should promote a more positive and supportive environment." For a moment, there was silence. Hannah's heart raced as she waited for his response. When he finally spoke, it was with a tone of disbelief. "Hannah, you're too sensitive. This is how the real world works," he said dismissively. But this time, Hannah stood firm. "That may be true, but being supportive matters too. It can improve our team's work and morale," she responded, feeling a surge of courage. After hearing this, Mr. Collins frowned but seemed taken aback. Hannah could tell that something had shifted. He was not used to being challenged. The rest of the day felt charged for Hannah. She had faced a difficult conversation and stood her ground, but the weight of anxiety still occupied her mind. That evening, as she reflected on her choice, she noticed a change around her. More colleagues thanked her for speaking out, and several told her they agreed with her view. Words of encouragement filled her heart, igniting a sense of hope. However, not everyone responded well. Mr. Collins' tone toward Hannah grew cold in the following days. He began to give her shorter assignments and put more pressure on her to deliver. Despite his changed demeanor, Hannah focused on the newfound support from her coworkers, and she decided to bring them together to discuss the situation. In a small group meeting, they decided to address Mr. Collins together if the behavior continued. They felt more empowered now, all standing together. As they set their boundaries, they created a united front. Hannah understood that learning to assert herself wasn't only about her own growth. It was about creating a safer space for everyone around her. With renewed strength, Hannah vowed to keep pushing forward, determined to foster the change she wanted to see in her workplace. Hannah felt the tension building as she entered the office, aware of the quiet atmosphere around her. Despite Mr. Collins' harsh responses, she maintained her resolve. Together with her supportive coworkers, Hannah felt they were growing stronger with each passing day. Just last week, Hannah had spoken up for herself and others, and everyone felt lighter. It was a small victory, but it meant so much. One afternoon, as everyone sat in a meeting, things took an unexpected turn. Mr. Collins was reviewing the progress of several projects. He seemed increasingly displeased and started to criticize a teammate named Nick, blaming him for missed deadlines. The meeting room grew heavier, and Hannah could see Nick's face turn pale. She felt the need to intervene, her heart racing at the thought. Without a second thought, she raised her hand. "Mr. Collins, I think some of the delays were due to the lack of support we all had," she said, looking around at her teammates for strength. "We all work as a team, and sometimes we need more help to stay on track." To her surprise, others began to nod in agreement. "It's true. We need to communicate better and support each other," Lucy added, looking at Hannah with encouragement in her eyes. Just like that, Hannah felt a small wave of relief wash over her. Seeing this shift encouraged Hannah even more. They were standing together and it felt powerful. Mr. Collins looked taken aback, and for the first time, his expression softened a little. Instead of jumping back with anger, he relented. "All right, I hear your concerns. Let's plan a time to discuss the challenges we all face. We can work on this together." That single moment of solidarity changed the atmosphere in the room. Hannah felt a soothing warmth in her heart. She knew this change was a victory not only for herself but for the whole team. The courage to stand up built bridges and created a sense of peace that had not existed before. As she sat back down, Nick smiled at her with gratitude. "Thanks for defending me, Hannah. I know how hard that was," he whispered, and Hannah felt proud. The support from her co-workers made her realize that they not only valued her efforts, they appreciated her bravery. Each time someone reached out, it reinforced her belief in herself. Growing more confident, Hannah began to plan how to navigate these meetings better. She started keeping a small notebook where she recorded key points to discuss. By actively reflecting on her roles at work and defining boundaries with coworkers, each page reminded her she had every right to be heard. As weeks went by, Hannah felt her actions influenced her environment positively. Each small step she took resulted in a noticeable change within the team. They began to communicate more openly, and she felt more at ease in meetings. The positive feedback from her coworkers filled her with joy. She had found a strength inside her that helped her thrive, even within the challenging environment. With each success, Hannah saw her workplace transform into a space of support instead of silence. Inspired by what they had built together, she made daily affirmations to herself, reminding her that she was worthy and deserving of happiness. As she navigated her own journey, Hannah knew she was not alone. With a newfound sense of freedom, she felt ready to step into each day, committed to building stronger relationships at work and beyond. The small victories mattered, fueling her drive as she continued to embrace her growth with open arms. All it took was a little courage and a strong desire to create change, no matter how difficult things felt. Hannah welcomed every challenge ahead and felt more empowered than ever before, ready to meet life with confidence and grace. Hannah stood in front of her workplace, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. The past months had been full of challenges, yet she emerged stronger and more connected than ever. Her days were no longer filled with self-doubt. She had learned the importance of social skills and built a supportive community around her. The fear that once lingered had transformed into a sense of belonging. At work, Hannah's confidence had been contagious. Team meetings shifted from tension to warmth. Colleagues now sought her insights, and she felt valued for her contributions. Just 2 weeks ago, during a brainstorming session, Hannah had participated without hesitation. She suggested new ideas about the upcoming project, and her colleagues jumped at her enthusiasm. They praised her input and welcomed her thoughts with open arms. This kind of support felt refreshing and affirming, showing that she was not alone in her journey anymore. Outside of work, Hannah had continued to embrace connections with others beyond the office walls. Her ongoing friendships blossomed, evolving into meaningful relationships. Last Saturday, she invited Mia and Nick over for dinner. They shared delicious food and laughter, catching up as they connected much deeper than friendship. Conversations flowed easily, as if they had been friends forever. Hannah found herself enjoying every moment spent with them. More than just newfound friendships, Hannah saw how essential her social skills had become. She practiced active listening, showing genuine interest in others, and it filled her with joy. When people shared stories, her heart warmed at the thought that she could be a comforting presence in their lives. This sense of connection brought fulfillment that she had long searched for. Equipped with her strengthened mindset, Hannah also addressed old struggles with grace. Encounters that had once made her nervous lost their hold on her. Whenever someone at work tried to belittle her or criticize her, she felt able to speak up calmly, reminding them of the value of respectful communication. With each passing day, Hannah discovered not just her voice, but also her power to shape her path. The experiences, whether challenging or uplifting, proved to be stepping stones that led her here, where she could stand tall. She embraced her imperfections and recognized them as part of who she was. Reflecting on her growth, Hannah also felt grateful for Mr. Blake's support. His words had planted the seed of inspiration within her. Now, she found herself wanting to inspire others too. She considered becoming a mentor for new employees. Sharing her journey and encouragement could help others like her who might feel lost in silence. As Hannah sat at her favorite cafe where her journey began, she smiled at the positive interactions with the barista. "Great to see you. How are your classes going?" Hannah asked, adding a small detail about herself just like she had learned. The familiar sense of connection warmed her heart, leaving her feeling empowered. She finished her drink and prepared to meet her friends, knowing that life was ready for more vibrant interactions. The connections she had built were only the beginning. It was clear to her now that the impact of social skills stretched far beyond the workplace. Hannah now recognized the true beauty of heartfelt interactions and was thrilled to be on this path. With a hopeful heart and newfound determination, she looked forward to the adventures waiting ahead. Empowered, Hannah was ready to create even more meaningful experiences in her renewed social life. Hannah's journey had taken her to incredible heights. As she sat in her favorite cafe, filled with laughter and chatter, she felt grateful for all the lessons she had learned. The warmth of her friendships filled her heart, and she imagined the future ahead with excitement. The journey was not over. It was only just beginning. In her newfound confidence, Hannah decided to prepare for the next steps in her career. She had been at her job for a while, but she now felt ready to consider new opportunities. Hannah wanted to grow and learn even more, seeking the right fit for her aspirations. One day, while browsing job listings online, she found a position that excited her. It was a role in a creative agency that combined her passions for design and communication. Her heart raced at the thought of applying. With encouragement from her friends, she drafted a heartfelt cover letter and focused on showcasing her talents. The skills she had built, her growing confidence, and her ability to connect with others all became valuable assets. Hannah had learned the importance of sharing her story, which she applied to her application. "I can do this," she whispered, feeling the familiar warmth of determination. After a few days of submitting her application, she received an email inviting her to an interview. Excitement mixed with nervousness bubbled inside her. She remembered how she had once frozen in similar situations. This time, however, she felt prepared. With tips from friends and reminders of her strengths, Hannah was ready to shine. On the day of the interview, she stood in front of her mirror, reminding herself to breathe. "Believe in yourself," she thought, feeling the energy of her journey surge through her. It was her chance to step into the world boldly, armed with the knowledge that she belonged where she chose to be. The meeting went wonderfully. Hannah expressed her ideas with clarity and shared stories of her achievements. The interviewers seemed engaged and excited about her potential contributions. As Hannah walked out of the building, she felt lighter and inspired. She understood now that challenges were no longer barriers. Instead, they became stepping stones toward something greater. In the following weeks, she embraced every opportunity that came her way. Hannah called her friends to share the good news. The moment she received the job offer felt monumental. They celebrated together, their laughter ringing through the air as they acknowledged how far she had come. With each new chapter unfolding, Hannah continued to embrace her growth. She read books on personal development and enrolled in workshops that enhanced her social skills even further. Goals once felt unreachable now seemed attainable. Hannah learned to navigate challenges like a pro. Whether it was working with a new team, engaging with clients, or stepping out of her comfort zone, she felt ready for it all. Looking out the window of her favorite cafe, Hannah felt grateful for the path she had walked. Her journey taught her the power of authentic connections and the importance of being true to herself. As she approached each day, she embraced the possibilities that lay ahead. With dreams now vivid and actionable, Hannah smiled at her reflection. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to herself, filled with hope and excitement. The future was bright, and she was ready to face it with open arms. Each step would lead her closer to her dreams, and she finally believed she had the power to make them come true. Hannah felt exhilarated, knowing that with each day, she could continue to grow and transform in wonderful ways.